What's up guys, it's Chris Majestic, and today we're going to talk about the best Wi-Fi. So as you can see, I have a bunch of mesh wireless systems with me today, and I've spent the last few weeks thoroughly testing each one of these so I can give you my opinion. Now I chose these units not only based on their popularity, but because most of them are easy for the average person to set up, and they work for small, medium, and large homes. Alright, so the systems I have with me today are the new 2019 Nest Wi-Fi, the 2019 Eero system, the Linksys Velop tri-band system, the Amplifi HD, the Amplifi Instant Wifi, the TP-Link Deco M4, the Netgear RBK50, and the Tenda Nova. So I'll be starting off with the most expensive units, then work down to the less expensive ones, and then I'll tell you my favorites. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. First up, we have the Linksys Velop tri-band system, and at $400, it's definitely the most expensive. So each unit is identical and has two Ethernet ports hidden away on the bottom that can be used for either a wired backhaul or to connect your wired devices. And like all the systems in this video, the setup process is really easy and straightforward, even though the Velop does take the longest to set up. As far as performance goes, the Velop was among the fastest systems for both the main router as well as the wireless access points. And that's because it has a dedicated 5 GHz backhaul, which improves the connection speeds from the access points. This also helps tremendously with houses that have a lot of wireless devices, since it allows the units to handle more traffic. Now, I do have to admit that while running a bunch of speed tests on the Velop, some of the results varied quite a bit. Now, I'm not sure if this was due to interference or instability within the router itself, but either way, the speeds were still pretty good. Alright, so next up we have the Orbi RBK50. So the Orbi is a 2-pack mesh wireless system that retails for $370 and often goes on sale for less than $300. So the Orbi is easily the largest of all the routers I've tested, and both the main router and the mesh access point both have 4 Ethernet ports that can be used for either wired devices or wired backhaul. And like the Velop, the Orbi has a dedicated 5 GHz backhaul, which greatly improves the speeds for the devices connected to the mesh access point. The setup for the Orbi was simple and smooth, and the mesh access point connected immediately. And just like I remember, the speeds from the Orbi were crazy. I averaged well over 400 megs up and down in the same room as the main router, and I even got over 300 meg from the mesh access point. The only thing I didn't like was that sometimes the speeds would drop on occasions, but they were still fast enough that you wouldn't notice. Either way, after more than 3 years, the Orbi RBK50 is still a top contender for fast Wi-Fi. Okay, so now on to the brand new system known as the Nest Wi-Fi. So here we have the Nest Wi-Fi 3-pack, and this system retails for $350. So as you can see, these units look much different from the older hockey puck design. And the main router still has 2 Ethernet ports, but unfortunately the mesh access points don't have any ports on them. Now that is kind of disappointing, but I suppose they did this to make room for the built-in speakers, since the mesh units have the Google Assistant built into them. So this means the mesh units are basically Nest Minis, so you can use them for music, questions, or to control your smart home. And not only does this system have a nice and simple design, but it's extremely easy to set up using the Google Home app. Following the instructions in the app, I had everything set up in about 5 minutes. Now I'll honestly say that after coming from the original Google Wi-Fi, I didn't have high hopes for this system's performance, but boy was I wrong. Not only did it have pretty much the fastest speeds out of all these systems, but it also had crazy range. And the main router is powerful enough by itself that if you don't have a house bigger than 2,000 square feet, you probably don't even need the 3-pack. The only negative things I had to say is the lack of Ethernet ports on the mesh units, but overall the Nest Wi-Fi kills it in nearly every category. Alright, so next up is the new 2019 Eero 3-pack, which retails for half the price of the older Eero at $250 versus $500. And even though they're a little taller than the Eero Pro to help with range, they still have a nice and simple design, and each unit is identical with 2 Ethernet ports on the back. And like the other systems, you can use these ports for your devices, or you can use it for a wired backhaul connection. And Eero certainly has the most elegant app as well as the easiest setup processes. Just follow the instructions in the app and you're up and running in just a couple of minutes. And just like the older Eero Pro system, the new less expensive version still provides great consistent speeds throughout the house. It's not the fastest system of the bunch, but it's definitely one of the most stable and provides pretty good coverage. The only place where the Eero Pro outshines the new Eero is that it's slightly faster and supports more devices, since the Pro has a dedicated 5 GHz backhaul, but the performance is still really close. And considering it's half the price, I'd say unless you have a whole lot of devices, I'd recommend the Eero over the Eero Pro. Okay, next up on the list is the TP-Link Deco M4. So the M4 is one of TP-Link's newest 3-pack mesh wireless systems that retails for just $180. It has a tower design similar to the Linksys Velop and has 3 identical units with 2 Ethernet ports on each unit. The setup is super easy and the Deco app walks you through the whole process. And as far as performance goes, the Deco M4 is solid. With such a low price, I have to say I was expecting to be underwhelmed with the performance, but I was pleasantly surprised. I got speeds over 400 megs from the main router, and when connected to one of the mesh access points, I got over 180. So if you have a larger house and you're not looking to spend a lot of money, the Deco M4 is a solid performer. Alright, next up is the Tenda MW6 Nova, and this system retails for $200, but it often goes on sale for much less. So the Nova comes with 3 cube-shaped units and 2 Ethernet ports on the bottom of each unit. And the setup process was fairly easy, although not quite as easy as the other systems since you have to manually connect to the first unit. Now the good thing is once you do get the first unit set up, it automatically finds the other 2 units and adds them to the mesh as soon as you plug them in. And the Tenda's performance was pretty decent considering its price. I got around 370 megs at the main router and over 100 megs at the mesh access point. So if you don't need a super fast system, then the Tenda isn't bad. And considering it's a 3-pack system that often goes on sale for less than $150, I think it's a decent budget option if you can find it on sale. And last but certainly not least is the Amplifi Instant Wi-Fi. So Amplifi is made by Ubiquiti, who makes some pretty awesome enterprise level networking equipment. So the Amplifi Instant Wi-Fi is a 2-pack mesh system. The main router has a small touchscreen on the front and the back has 2 Ethernet ports. And the mesh access point has a single Ethernet port on the back that can be used for either a backhaul or a single wired device. So why is it called Instant Wi-Fi? Well, the setup process takes only 2 minutes and it's among the easiest wireless systems to get up and running. The Amplifi app is awesome and this system has more advanced features than most of the other units on this list. And one of my favorite features is the ability to have more than one SSID so you can easily split off your 5 GHz devices. And as far as performance, the Instant Wi-Fi has one of the most stable and consistent connections. I got over 400 megs from the main router and about 140 megs from the mesh access point. And the Amplifi Instant has better range and more features than the other budget systems, which makes it stand out as a good option. Now Ubiquiti does offer more expensive options like the Amplifi HD and the HD Gamers Edition, which offer a few more features as well as more Ethernet ports, but as long as you don't need multiple Ethernet ports, the Amplifi Instant offers nearly the same performance for much less money. Alright, so now that we got that all out of the way, which systems are the best? Well, I'll break it down into 3 categories. The first category is going to be best overall, and I'm going to have to give this crown to the Nest Wi-Fi. Not only does it provide some of the fastest speeds with its 4x4 antennas, but it's easy to set up and has amazing range. And to top it off, you get built-in speakers in the mesh access points. The only downsides are the price and lack of Ethernet ports, but with this type of performance, I think I can live with those. And the second category is going to be speed, and the reigning champion for the fastest whole home wireless system is still the Netgear Orbi. Now, even though the speeds from the main router were nearly the same as the Google Wi-Fi, the speed from Orbi's mesh access point were the fastest overall. Now, the speeds might not be as stable as the Nest Wi-Fi, but if you need fast speeds from both the main router and the mesh access points, then look no further than the Orbi. And the last category is value, and the best value system is going to be the Amplifi Instant Wi-Fi. Not only does it perform just as good if not better than most of the other systems on the list, but it has the lowest price. But don't let the price fool you because this is a great system. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that even though these mesh systems are really popular right now, be mindful that whenever you're using a mesh wireless system, you'll usually get slower speeds from the wireless access points compared to the main router. This means that if you have a smaller home and you buy a 3-pack, you might be hindering yourself by using the 3 units when you could probably get faster speeds from the main router by itself. So what I suggest if you plan on buying one of these systems is to set up the main router by itself and see if you have any dead zones. If you do, then you can go ahead and add one wireless access point wherever you need it. This is going to ensure that your devices always had the fastest speed possible since the main router provides faster speeds than the mesh wireless points. Alright guys, that's going to pretty much do it for this video, and if you're interested in the new Wi-Fi 6, also known as wireless AX systems, then stay tuned as I'm in the process of testing those out, so be sure to look out for that video. And if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.